the entire time, don't die, and try to keep your passive at 5 stacks. So you do that by Wing on cooldown across your entire team and their entire team, which you were doing. I think your ult is probably good. It's possible that you would have been able to kill Riven just with auto attacks, because you do have a higher DPS from auto attacking, but you did get your ult across their entire team. So, like overall, that was a very good fight on your part. Yeah, and again, I just have a ward instead of this one potion. Like, you have enough lifesteal. Yeah, a potion might save your life, but a ward is more likely to save your life. Because at this point, you don't really need the sort of macro sustain of staying in lane for a really long time, because you have enough lifesteal from your BT, which is, it has to be, yeah, it's fully stacked. Yeah, I haven't done in a long time. Stealing those Jays was really bad mannered unless you like absolutely needed them for an item, which you didn't. Just like, don't do that. It makes your teammates annoyed with you, and if you're playing on a pre-made and they understand, oh, my AD carry someone behind, like, I really need to let my carry have these, then you can. But like, Jax also needs a lot of items. It's pretty bad mannered, and try to avoid doing it unless like you absolutely need that 45 gold to be able to buy your shield. That's one thing, but your W doesn't do anything to minions, so like it only applies to champions. So like Wing when you're taking creeps or when you're taking neutral camps like that, and like that W, those are literally doing nothing. You don't have a chair to stack, so unless it's for an Iceborne proc, I guess, the Ws aren't really doing anything. And I wouldn't W just for an Iceborne proc when clearing camps. It's too much mana for that to be worth it. And I don't even think that you're getting the procs. I think that the cooldown of the Q is short enough. You can just get it from that. But in team fights, if you can time your Ws so that you get additional Iceborne procs, that's worth it. Okay, so you're going PD. That's probably fine. I usually go Shiv, but I'm also a support main, not an AD main, so I don't have that many comments on item builds. So I'm actually be pretty surprised if Evelyn didn't want this blue. If she doesn't want it, then it's totally fine to take it. Just use your Qs, like, especially when you're about to be taking a blue buff, you don't need to worry about mana at all. Every Q that you miss is basically missing an auto attack, and then on top of that you have the Sheen proc that you really want to be able to get. So just when you're clearing camps, use your Qs. Yeah, so you don't have any wards. I wouldn't push any farther than that. I'd actually just press B right now instead of like walking all this far. Yeah, so I might actually be scared enough of a fight right now, especially with Alistar ulting, just buy home guard boots. You need to get here like right now. So I would have been watching that. I would have gotten home guard boots instead of whatever you got instead, and you would have gotten here significantly earlier. You can't really take them. You might be able to get the Shen kill. Yeah, but Vayne has a GA. There's no reason to be dueling Vayne right now. She has red buff plus a GA. Like, you get the Shen kill and then just get out. Tarek's just gonna die now, and Zed might die too. But yeah, if you had gone back like earlier, so you clear the creep wave and then immediately press B instead of clearing the creep wave and then walking all the way here and then pressing B, and then gotten back, notice all the fighting that was happening in mid, realize that you really need to get there. As soon as you saw the Alistar ult, like, you should have been watching mid lane as you were pressing B. As soon as you saw the Alistar ult, you immediately know you need Home Guard boots, because you need to get there as soon as possible so that your team isn't fighting without you. And then once you got there, you might have been there in time to actually do something. So this game is pretty bleak at this point. They have a Vayne with 3 items plus a GA. That's going to be really strong. And Alistar is probably better support than Tarek late game. And Zed's doing okay, but he's a little bit far behind. Like, he's not going to be able to be the assassin that you really want for Vayne, especially now that she has a GA. But you try to get vision on Baron. You still haven't had a 5 versus 5 team fight. Really, you had the one that was sort of over here, but just turn on Vayne. Your entire team needed to turn on Vayne with you just then. Or if they weren't turning, like, yeah, so when they saw Vayne, if everyone had turned for Vayne, you might have been able to kill her. But since there was no way that you were going to live that, you might as well just continue auto-attacking her instead of running away from her. But this game is pretty much over at this point. Basically, your lane snowballed pretty far back, pretty fast. Because of the level 1 gank, which could have been avoided by if you just flashed out of it. And that's the reason that I said I wouldn't necessarily have warded to see that gank, because, like, Alistar level 1, a Shen level 2 gank is pretty scary, but if it doesn't succeed, his jungle is going to be really, really far behind. And you can make it succeed by burning a summoner. And like, if he flash taunts, then there's not as much you can do about it. But then at least he doesn't have flash, and so he's, like, in the new jungle, level 2 ganks are much more high risk than they used to be. So yeah, it's a good idea to ward against a Shen who you know is starting red, but you still should have been able to flash out of it. Especially because Alistar was walking, so, like, if an Alistar Vayne are walking up to you at level 1, like, that's not that likely to happen. Okay, yeah, so that'll just miss Baron. Like, you missed it because you were too late, but it also just didn't hit Baron, so just aim on the mini-map, and then just put your cursor on the, or, like, not on the mini-map, but just click on the mini-map to go look at Baron, and then put your cursor over Baron, and then aim that way. If you tend to miss it when you aim just on the mini-map, it's also fine to aim it on the mini-map if you know exactly where it is, but if you're missing it because due to aiming on the mini-map, you might as well just go to Baron and hover over it, actually. Yeah, it's likely that you've actually wanted that blue that you took earlier. So right now, the only thing that you guys can really do is just be super defensive and hope that they make a mistake.
Purple team's inhibitor is respawning soon.
Jax's build is somewhat questionable. He should really have a GA and a Triforce. Yeah, and your team just doesn't have enough damage. Like, this is the problem with going Iceborne, is that you just don't have that much damage. So it's okay if you're able to do a good poke comp. Okay, don't be attacking Alistar. You're hitting the ulting Alistar. You're doing no damage. You guys probably couldn't have won that fight anyway because Vayne is so huge right now, but you had virtually no damage for a really long time there because you were just hitting the ulting Alistar. Yeah, so it was pretty much, your lane got snowballed out of control, or like, the enemy snowballed out of control in your lane due to level 1, and then the one time when I was saying that you should have gone back, you definitely should have gone back and just picked up a deep later too, because that increases in power. It's huge. It sets you back a little bit for later, but you're not trying to win a late game against Vayne. You're trying to win an early game against Vayne, because if it gets to super late game and you're not really far ahead, so that the price of 2D blades doesn't matter that much, then you're probably going to lose anyway. So there's that. Your Taric engaged on the Alistar several times when he shouldn't have done that, and there was a lack of wards, and Eve didn't roam. So you definitely mispositioned a couple times in fights that I talked about, but I would say that a lot of laning wasn't your fault. That's not to say that you're blameless at all, but like, don't feel like you single-handedly lost your team that game if they were raging at you the whole time, because you definitely didn't. There are definitely things that everyone could have done better. So probably two things that you should work on are last hitting. Definitely work on last hitting in laning, and work on getting more auto attacks off on the enemy carry for the first couple of levels. There were a couple times when you got into auto attack range of Vayne and you didn't actually auto attack her, and she didn't auto attack you back, so that was bad of her also. But you should definitely be auto attacking whenever you get the chance to do that. And my guess is that you should also work a lot on communicating with your team, because there were things that your teammates did that you should have said, please do this, or please don't do this. And yeah, those are probably two things that you should work, and know when to go back and when to not go back. But your team fighting is, like, your positioning in team fights, in full-out team fights is pretty good, but your choice of target wasn't great, especially in the last team fight when you're just trying to kill the ulting Alistar and you're not going to do any damage to him. He's so ridiculously tanky. So work on choosing targets better. So yeah, I think that's all, and good luck in the future.